Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're here with video number 12 in our series of videos on our Apache helicopter theme build. And what we're going to be doing tonight is I'm going to be giving you an update on what I've been doing off camera since our last video. And what I've been doing is I've been hooking up all our cabling. I've done absolutely no cable management so far. All I've done was basically just routed everything in a general direction it should be and plugged everything in so we can test everything out. Because if we did our cable management now and we had a problem, we would have to disassemble all the wires to figure out what was going on. This way we can do a test run to make sure everything's okay before we get into that long drawn out process of this massive, I don't know what you want to call it, this massive ton of cables here that we got to figure out how to manage and make look halfway professional. Because like I said, there's glass doors on both sides of this case, so you're going to see the wiring, and so you want to make sure it's real neat and professional as possible. So yeah, let me show you what we got going so far. We have all our front panel wires plugged in, and that's for our input and output on the front panel, which is your USBs, your power switch, your audio, and also I took the heat sinks off of these M.2 storage drives, and I put the RGB heat sinks on, like I said I was going to do in the other videos. And we're running a set of temporary aerials on this also right here, so our Wi-Fi works. And got an HDMI cable here running into a capture card so you can see it once we fire it up. I got it plugged in. Let me adjust the camera down here. We got our main power plug plugged into the power supply. We have our switch for our power supply on, and we got a keyboard and a mouse hooked up. And yeah, I mean, let me show you the other side, the massive amount of wiring that this build has. I mean, these are just fan wires right here, and got all our main cables run, our 24-pin ATX cable, and we got our two CPU harnesses run here. And we got these wires here, they're coming out of our AIO that we installed in our last video. And we got all three of our backup storage drives. Got those installed, and we got our power run to them, and we got our data cables run to them. But I don't have the data cables hooked up right now because I don't want to cause any confusion when I install Windows, because a lot of times when Windows gives you the option of what drives to install the operating system on, if you have too many to choose from, it's real easy to get confused. So we're going to leave them unplugged until our operating system's installed, and then we'll mount these drives. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the power switch on this to fire it up. And then what I'm going to do after I do that is I'm going to switch you over to the other monitor. And the way I have that done is I have an HDMI cable, which is right here. I have it run through a capture card, and that way you'll be able to see it through the software. So don't expect anything spectacular. Everything's going to be bland and pretty dull at this point. There ain't going to be any synchronized colors or any kind of bright colors or anything like that. It's basically just going to light up. And we'll change all the coloring and the synchronization through our software once the operating system's installed. Because we'll have to install Gigabyte Fusion 2.0 to control this lighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit the power switch up on top, and then once it fires up, then what I'll do is I'm going to switch you over to the capture card. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, you can see we're at our bland colors on our fan. That's just the default color. It's kind of like a whitish yellowish. But you can see the effects of the fans, what they're going to look like with the ring plus pattern. And also you can see our RGB power supply here is all lit up, and it's just in a rainbow color right now. And that's also at its default color. Our RAM RGB, that's also at its default color, and you can see our two RGB heat sinks that we put on our M.2 storage drives is lit up. And then we have our display, our LCD display. We have our Aorus logo, and I believe it's loading up right now, but I don't think it's going to do much more than load up 0 degrees as far as the CPU temperature, because this also has to be activated through the software. But basically what we're doing right now, we're just going to make sure everything works. So let me turn this around and show you something else. When we installed these 140 millimeter front intake fans, I had them on the inside of the assembly bracket. Well, I decided to move them to the outside. So I figured you could see them a little bit better. You can see here. These are on the outside now, facing the inside front of the case. So I made a quick switch off camera with that also. So okay, everything's fired up, and our Aorus 120 millimeter fans up on the top underneath the array. You can see they're all lit up. Got a keyboard and a mouse here because once I switch you over to the capture cards, you can see what the HDMI cable's putting out. I'll be able to control and change things with that mouse. Where before on the older BIOS versions, you couldn't do that. You could only use the up and down and enter keys on the keyboard to do that. But now with the new interface on the UEFI, you can use you have mouse capability, so it makes it a lot better. So let's get switched over to the capture card, see what we got going on there. Okay, there you can see see we're in our BIOS or UEFI, and like I said, it has mouse capabilities, which I'll show you right there. And the first thing I want to show you up here is our CPU temperature. It's 24 degrees Celsius, which is great. And our DDR4 Corsair memory, it's running at 2133 megahertz. Now that's because the XMP is not enabled. That's right here. So to enable XMP to get the full speed out of your memory, which for us is 3600 megahertz, you want to click on this, and then you'll see it change to XMP Profile 1, and that's what we want. So now it'll change our memory to the 3600 megahertz. Okay, and the next down on the left here, you'll see boot sequence. You can see our Samsung 970 Evo Plus 1 terabyte. Now that's not how we want our boot sequence, because I want to install the operating system on the Samsung Solid State 980 Pro storage drive. So the way we're going to change that is, I believe we can, let me get myself out of the road here so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so what we do is we want to change these. The way we're going to change this is we're going to take this drive right here, the Samsung 980 Pro, and we're going to move it to the top. So you hold down your left button on your mouse and you drag it to the top. And now you can see our our 980 Pro is the first in line for the boot sequence. So that's what we want. So then you just come down here, hit the escape key, and then you can see on here boot sequence, Samsung 980 Pro 500 gig. Now that's the one we want to install our operating system on. Another thing you want to do is over here on the right is load optimized defaults. You always want to do that, especially after you update the BIOS. And by the way, the BIOS version on this board, you can see up here in the top left, is F11. There's two more versions of the BIOS out for this board. One is F12K, I believe, and the other one is just F12. And the latest one, F12, is the one we want. So I'll update the BIOS in this off camera. See what else we one other thing, you want to go to your Smart Fan 5 over here on the right hand side, and up here on the top you can see CPU fan is where we're at right now, and that is set to auto. And what I want to do with these, I want to set them to PWM. So you click PWM, and then you want to come up here, click the drop down menu and go to the CPU optional fan, and I'm going to set that one also to PWM. And then we want to go to escape to get back to our main page. And you also have an advanced mode. You can see over here on the right hand side. Click on the advanced mode, and this is where all your settings are over here. Now we're not gonna overclock this PC in any way, so basically all these default settings are gonna be fine. But that's our tweaker settings. We have our I/O port settings, our miscellaneous settings, our PC health status, Smart Fan 5. We have our system info tab, and this gives you all the information on your board. And then our boot sequence. And then the next one is our save and exit. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. We're going to hit the save and exit button so we can load all those settings we just changed. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, then you want to come up here on the very top where it says save and exit setup, and then one down below it says exit without saving. Well, we want to exit and save what we already changed. So let's hit that one. And we'll hit enter on our keyboard, and it's going to say save configuration and reset, and we're gonna hit yes. And now what it's going to do, it's going to shut the computer down. It's going to reboot back to the BIOS with our new settings. And the main thing I want to see is I want to see that our memory is running up to 3600 megahertz. Here's our boot screen, our Aorus logo. And there we're back to our UEFI. Okay, so let's check our memory profile out here. And make sure we're running at the our extreme memory profile XPM profile 1 DDR4 3600 megahertz. Okay, so we're running our memory at its peak right now. Now that's not always ideal to do because it can crash the system, but you can custom set the megahertz that you want to set this memory at. But I always run it at its peak, and I get very little crashes, if any, when I do that. So if you do set the memory at its peak megahertz and you start to get the blue screen crashes, it's a good idea to go back into your UEFI and readjust that memory down a little bit. Say, like, for instance, this is 3600 megahertz memory. You could set it down to, say, 3000 or 3200. I think you'd be pretty safe at that. So, yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else on here I want to show you. Let me get myself back off of that screen again. And let's go. Let's go over here to easy mode. That should get us back to where we started. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, we got our boot sequence, and these fans, these CPU fans over here, this is indicating the RPM of those fans, and where they connect up at is off of your AIO and off of your fan module, your thermotake fan module, which I can show you here. Let me spin this around. It's this wire right here. Get back over to the other. This wire right here. This runs off the AIO, and the other one runs off of the module. What it does is it plugs into fan headers that are marked CPU and CPU optional. So we have these run to our CPU fan headers, so the motherboard can monitor the fan speed. In other words, if the CPU starts to get hot, it'll speed these fans on the side and on the front of the case. It'll speed those fans up to compensate for the heat and dissipate more of the heat out. Like I said, this wiring here is just all basically just connected. There's no management to it at all, other than I just have it run its general direction. And I also have some of it tied with these throwaway metal ties that I told you about earlier in other videos, not to use. Well, I'm just using these temporarily because I don't want to use tie straps and then have to cut the tie straps back off. So I just have these on there temporary, just keeping some of the wires under control, because they would be just hanging down everywhere. So yeah, again, I want to say that there's no uniformity to any of these colors. It's just all pretty much bland right now because we got to run it through our software. And you can see our LCD display right here with our Aorus logo, and it is reading 0 Celsius because, like I said, it's not activated in our software yet. So, but this is where I bought this AIO. I really like that digital LCD display there. I thought that would really add a lot of aesthetics to the build. You can turn it to get it out of the shadows so you can see it real good. And like I said, our power supply, it's running at its default mode. Let me hit a couple switches on the back of that power supply where you can manually change that. And Yeah, see, we changed it there so it just like cycles through different colors instead of having a rainbow. So, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be syncing this up with the Gigabyte Fusion 2.0, so it all coordinates with the rest of our LEDs. Now, the only thing we can't control through Fusion 2.0 is this Corsair memory. Like I said before, this Corsair memory that has to be controlled through Corsair's iQ software. And with that, you can set all the different colors to match your other colors in your machine. It's like I said, the sky's the limit. Whatever your imagination is what you can do with this. There's also 3 LED strips that have to go in this also yet. I don't have them in stock right now, so I'm hoping to get them in the next day or two, so we'll be installing those. But I really like these Thermotake Ring Plus fans. I like how it has the how the RGB shines off of those blades and makes like a swirling effect. I really like it. I think that's pretty cool. And let me show you the front ones again. Show you the 140 millimeter ones. Get my mouse cable out of the way. Get it over here on the mouse pad. Now I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to install Windows in this. And originally I said we were going to install Windows 11. Well, I had a change of heart on that. I'm going to install Windows 10 Pro instead. And I have this on a thumb drive right here. And the way you get these is you just download it from Microsoft's website. And it does everything for you. It'll make the drive bootable, and install all the files you need for the operating system you pick. But yeah, this is free. You don't have to pay a dime for this. You just get you get a blank thumb drive with at least 8 gigs of free space on it, and whenever you're on Microsoft's website, you just plug this into your computer, on not the computer you're building, but another computer, and yeah, you just download this onto the drive, and it'll do it automatically and make this all bootable. Like I said, it's for free. The only thing is, once this is installed, you will need a product key to activate Windows. I mean, it'll still work with limited functionality, but to get all the benefits out of your operating system, you're going to have to activate it. And you can get those product keys now online from various websites and they're legitimate websites. You can get these keys for around between $15 and $20 for the activation key for Windows. And I've used it on numerous occasions and never had an issue with it at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thumb drive and I'm going to plug it into one of the USB ports. Then we're going to reboot the PC. And the first thing the PC does when it reboots, it looks for an operating system. And if it can't find an operating system, it'll just go to the UEFI, the BIOS. It'll just boot into the BIOS. But once it spots a operating system or operating system media like we have on here on this drive, it'll boot to it. So what this computer is going to do is, once I restart, it's going to boot off of this flash drive. And then at that point, we'll have the option to install Windows. So let's get that going. And then I'll switch you over to the capture card. Okay, we got our USB drive plugged in. So let me get you switched over to the capture card. Okay, back into our BIOS. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reboot this machine, and hopefully it'll boot to that USB drive. and give it a chance to shut down. And we'll start it back up and see if it boots off that drive. Onto our splash screen. Should be hunting for that. And you see the little circles going. There we got our Windows installation screen right there. Okay, so what you're going to do, the first thing you want to do is you want to select your language, which English United States is what we want. So that's already up on there as default. So what we want to do now is, let me get myself back up here on the, okay. So what you want to do next is hit the next button. And then it gives you the option to install now and the option to, down here on the left, to repair your computer. Well, we're not repairing one. We're going to install a new copy of Windows. So you hit install now. And you see setup is starting. And it's going to want a Windows activation key, the one I talked about a few minutes ago. And we don't have a key right now. So down here, if you can see here on the middle where my mouse arrow is, you want to hit the I don't have a product key. So just punch that. And then it wants to know what version of Windows you want to install. Now, I have a key for Windows 10 Pro. So what I want to do is I want to pick Windows 10 Pro right here. So I want to click on that, highlight it, and I want to click Next. And then it gives you all your terms and agreements and license terms. Just check the box there, hit Next. And then it gives you the option to upgrade, install Windows, and keep all your files, which we don't want to do. We want to do a custom install. Always do a custom install, the bottom one. And then what it's doing now, and it's showing our drives that we have on our computer and gives us a choice which drive to install Windows on. Now, drive 0, that's the 1 terabyte drive right here. And drive 1 is our 500 gig. It's listed as 465 gig, but it's 500 gig. They just reserve some space for installation files, I believe. So we want to install Windows on our 500 gig Samsung 980 Pro drive, and that's one's right here. So that's drive 1. So you want to click on drive 1, highlight it, and then you want to click Next. So now what Windows is doing, it's copying all the installation files to that drive. And this don't take very long at all. You just have to be a little bit patient, but it goes pretty quick. See, it's already, this is a pretty fast computer, so it's already at 30% just in a few seconds. And we're up to 70% already. Yeah, you can always upgrade to Windows 11 later for free. Doesn't cost anything to upgrade to Windows 11 from Windows 10. You can even upgrade to Windows 11 from Windows 7. You can use the same product key. So it's still doing our installation files. 100%. Installing updates. And it's going to restart. Should reboot into Windows now. And we don't have any video drivers installed right now, so our video might look a little weird till we get our video drivers installed. Getting devices ready at 79%. 100% getting ready. Getting basically checking out all the hardware you have on your system, and it will load some default drivers for that hardware. Drivers basically are, it's basically software, but it's more like, I wouldn't say software, it's more like a firmware type thing. It enables your software to communicate with your hardware on your machine. So you always want to have your drivers up to date, and we will do that later in the build. And now it's going to reboot again. This does this all automatically. You don't have to do anything. Once you get it started, it's pretty much all automatic. Till you get to the point where they want you to install your personal information, like your name and your region. Okay, so here we are at the region screen. See here on the bottom, United States. So we want that highlight and click yes. And then it says, is this the right keyboard layout, US? You want to click yes. And do you want to add a second keyboard layout? Skip that. We don't want to do that. And it's going to want to let you have the option to connect to a network. What we're going to do is we're going to down the left-hand bottom and hit I don't have internet. Even though we do, we just don't want Windows to know that. So we're going to say I don't have internet. And we want to also down here on the left, we don't want to set up OneDrive or any other features right now. We just basically want to get the operating system installed. So we're going to continue with limited setup. And here's where it's going to ask for who's going to use this PC. So basically what I put in here is I just put in user. For now, just to get going. I don't know how well you can see this on the screen. And gives you the option to install a password. We're going to skip over that. The main purpose of this video was to make sure everything was hooked up right and everything was working the way it's supposed to, and it does. And so I guess the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this off camera. So I'm going to do all the wire management on this and put everything on it, put the hood on it, and I'll put the front nose section on with the windshield and the side windows and all the air scoops. And I'll get all that done. And then after I do that, I'll do our video 13, which what we'll do is we'll install our graphics card. And once we get that installed, then we won't have any issues with having to use a capture card to show you what's going on. So yeah, everything's hooked up and working good. No problems at all. Got our basic Windows installation pretty much done. The rest was all just basic information, but you got the idea how to install Windows. And like I said, yeah, when I come back on our next video, I'll have all our software installed so I can show you how to set up all these lights and how to sync all these lights. Put our video card in, put our glass doors on here. I'll have all our cable management done. And I think our PC will be pretty much complete at that time. Like I said, I got some LED strip lights that I haven't got in yet. Another idea I'm thinking on doing is on the left side of this case where that glass window goes. It's pretty much not going to show a whole lot in this back half. So, you know, I was thinking on taking the glass door and wrapping it in a matte black vinyl from, say, this point to this point, and then put some military logos on there, or you know, some kind of graphics on it. I'm undecided yet, because to tell you the truth, I really don't want to cover up these drives right here, because they almost look like they're like ammo storage or something like that. You know, that would be in a real helicopter. So yeah, I mean, I have all kinds of ideas on what I'm going to do. But that basically gives you our test right there, and glad everything worked. I mean, I can't see anything that hasn't lit up or worked. No. Yeah, I really like those fans. I don't like the color, but like I said, I got to get in there and change that once we get software installed. But I like how the pattern on those fans with those ring plus wave pattern. I really like those. I think they look pretty cool. Give you a shot of the front here again. Right there. See how they look? I think they look pretty neat. This is going to look pretty good. Like I said, I want the capabilities to blacken this whole inside this computer out. Just like if it was a stealth helicopter and you wanted to blacken everything out if you were going into battle, you know, and I also want to have the capabilities of turning everything white inside, which I will have with the software. So yeah, I think this is a pretty neat theme build, and like I said, I have long sweeping aerials on it for our Bluetooth and our Wi-Fi. Right now, I just have these temporary aerials set up right now. And yeah, like I said, our graphics card has to go in there yet. And I think this is going to be a pretty awesome build. We should have this done in, if not the next video, 2 more videos. We should have this project done. And I have, I believe it is, well, I know for a fact it's 2 LG monitors, but I'm trying to think what they are. They're definitely gaming monitors, so they're a 144 megahertz, and I think they're 34 inch or 32. Yeah, they're 32 inch, 2 32-inch monitors for this. And I already have those here, and that's what we'll be hooking up on this once we get our video card in there, because I want to run them off. I don't want to run HDMI onto those. I'm going to run them on DisplayPort. I just think the graphics look better on DisplayPort, and we'll have that option with that video card we have, which I don't know if I showed you it yet or not, but let me show you that video card. It's a video card here that we're going to be using, the GeForce RTX 3060. It's a 12 gigabyte overclock. It's made by Asus. It's a Rogue Strike gaming graphic card. Just for the fun of it, if you want to, research this video card on Amazon or eBay or anywhere, you know, Newegg or or Micro Center and see how much this card cost. I mean, I waited almost 4.5 months to get this card in after I ordered it. Like I said, you know, if you look on eBay or Amazon, you can buy them off scalpers and pay an arm and a leg. But I paid the recommended retail price for this, which wasn't too bad. It's a 3-fan setup, and it's also RGB. And I think it has 3 display ports and 3 HDMI ports. So you could actually run 6 monitors off of this card if you wanted to. But we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be running 2 34-inch monitors off of this. So yeah, we'll be installing that in our next video. That's one of our most expensive parts for this build. The next expensive part for this build was probably the CPU, the i9-9900K processor. That was probably our next expensive part. Then after that was our RAM. Our Corsair RGB RAM was pretty expensive also. But as far as our motherboard and our power supply and our fans and things like that, they're really not too bad. The case was pretty expensive too. I mean, it's a theme build, so you know I had to get a pretty nice case to do our theme build on. So yeah, I can't think of anything else to let you know about. Like I said, I like to look things over before I get in the video because, like I said before, a lot of times once I shut the video down or the recording down, and then I remember something that I forgot to mention. So yeah. So I think we covered everything in this video. And I want to remind everybody to subscribe and hit the like button. And don't forget to click on the little notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Like I said, we probably have 1 or 2 more videos on this build, and then after that finishes, be starting a new series of videos, probably doing drum covers, covering different songs from different rock bands on the drums, and then later, after the weather gets warmer, which won't be for a few months, since we're recording out of central Pennsylvania, probably won't be till April or May, and then I'm going to start a series of videos on the 2016 Mustang GT build. Like I said, I bought that vehicle brand new in 2016, and it only has around 500 miles on it. And what we're going to do in that series of videos is we're going to install a Whipple supercharger and a set of Cooks, I believe they are, long tube headers on that. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And once we get that all done, we'll take it out for test drives, and we'll mount some cameras on the side of the car and mount a camera on the inside for the interior view. And yeah, we'll do some pretty fun Mustang videos also, because that's basically what my channel's about. It's about computers, Mustangs, and drumming, and, you know, music in general. And yeah, so this series of videos here, like I said, we only got 1 or 2 more to go. And I want to thank everybody for watching, because I think this is be about the end of this video, so I can't think of anything else to mention. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Have a great day and a great evening, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and we will see you in our next video. And I want to thank you again. Bye bye.